On the edge of New York City, in a cold, crumbling apartment, 17-year-old Emily Carter sits beside her sick mother. The heater barely works. Icy air slips through cracked windows. An empty milk carton lies on the table next to a strip of cheap pills and a stack of unpaid hospital bills. Emily's father has been gone for 2 years. He drank, gambled, shouted that he was done with this life, slammed the door, and never came back. What's left is her mother's small paycheck, food stamps, and Emily's late-night shifts at a fast food restaurant just to keep the lights on. School doesn't save her, it suffocates her. At her public high school, most students are comfortably middle class. When Emily walks into class, 2 girls whisper, she's the food stamp girl. People like her just come for the free lunch, not for college. The teacher calls her name and asks for her homework. Emily says softly, "Sir, I had my shift last night. My mom had to go to the hospital. He cuts her off in front of everyone. In this country, Emily, excuses don't build a future. If you can't handle responsibility, maybe this isn't the place for you." The class laughs, her cheeks burn. But she swallows her humiliation and stays quiet. After school, she runs to her job at a fast food restaurant. Her manager, Kelly, checks the clock and snaps, "You're 5 minutes late again. If this is too hard," the doors open. "Someone else will take your spot." Emily Trias. "The bus was late. I had to buy my mom's meds." Kelly waves her off. "This is work, not a sob story. Take orders. Move faster." Grease on the floor. Shouting customers. Constant beep hours blur into one long shift. Around 2:30 a.m., Emily drags herself home, where her mother sits awake, clutching a fresh hospital bill. Between coughs, her mother whispers, "Sweetheart, you study all day and work all night. When do you sleep? You're too young to be this tired." Emily forces a smile. "Just a few years. Mom, I'll get into college, find a good job, and we'll leave this place. You'll get real treatment, not these cheap pills." But when her mother finally falls asleep, Emily scrolls through American university websites on her phone. Every tuition number and thousands of dollars feels like a wall she can't climb. Then comes a trap that almost destroys her. A YouTube ad promises, earn up to $1,000 a week from home. No degree, no experience. Desperate, she signs up. A trainer named Jessica tells her on video calls, "You'll call clients for our investment program. If they hesitate, say, 'This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If you don't invest now, you'll regret it.' Your job is to convince, nothing else." Emily feels something twist inside her. Is this really safe? She asks herself, but then she sees the eviction notice on the fridge and the unpaid medical bills, remembers Kelly's threats, and thinks, "I don't have the luxury to be picky. I need money." For weeks, she calls strangers. "Our plan is safe. Our company is registered. Your money will be secure. This is your chance to change your life." Every yes adds a few dollars to her account and another crack to her conscience. One night she comes home to see 2 police officers waiting outside her building. A female officer calls, "Emily Carter, we need to ask you some questions about a company you worked for." At the station, the officer drops a file on the table. "That investment company scammed hundreds of people. They took their money and vanished. You brought in clients. Did you know their money would be stolen?" Tears run down Emily's face. "I didn't know the whole truth. I just said what they trained me to say. I had no choice. My mom is sick. I'm alone. I needed." The officer's voice softens, but stays firm. "The law doesn't have boxers for poor or no choice. It has crime and punishment. If you testify and tell us everything, the court may treat you as an exploited minor, not as a criminal. If you stay quiet, you go down with them." When Emily looks in the mirror that night, she feels like she has testified against herself, and the system is ready to stamp her forever as the villain in a story where she was never really in control. The storm doesn't end there. Under police questioning, late shifts, and constant fear, Emily's grades collapse. Her teacher calls her into an empty classroom and says, "Emily, your scores are dragging our averages down. If you can't handle this, maybe you should transfer to a vocational school. We can't afford to carry dead weight." For the first time, Emily lets her anger slip through her fear. Her voice shakes, but she speaks. "I'm carrying your assignments, my job, my rent, my mother's illness, and a police case." If I'm falling, I'm not the only one responsible. The teacher blinks, then shrugs. Life doesn't grade feelings. It grades results. At school, only one girl seems kind. Sophia. They study together, share coffee, and one evening in the library, Emily finally cracks open. She tells Sophia about her father leaving, her mom's illness, the scam company, the police, the rent, everything. The next day in the cafeteria, Emily hears Sophia laughing with other girls. Emily is like a walking scandal. Cops at her door, scam calls, food stamps. I just sit with her out of pity. We're not really the same level. The tray in Emily's hands trembles. She quietly turns away and goes back to the library, understanding that even her pain has become entertainment for others. At home, the landlord pounds on the door. You're 2 months behind. Ms. Cotter, you have 1 week, or I start eviction. This is New York, not a shelter. The hospital calls. Your insurance doesn't fully cover your mother's treatment. You're responsible for the remaining balance. Without it, future care may be limited. Rent on one side, hospital bills on the other, school pressure and a criminal investigation on top. One night, staring at the cracked ceiling, Emily thinks, if I just stopped existing, maybe all of this would finally stop too. Then her mother coughs in her sleep and whispers, "Emily, are you here?" That fragile voice pulls her back from the edge. The turning point comes quietly. A nonprofit worker named Rachel visits Emily's school to speak to low-income and immigrant students. Standing before a half-bored classroom, Rachel says, "If you're struggling with money, illness, or legal trouble at home, it doesn't mean you're a failure. Sometimes it means the system is failing you. Asking for help is not weakness, it's strategy." Something in Emily stirs. After class, she walks up to Rachel, every step heavy, and spills everything out in a shaking voice. The scam, the police, the rent, her mother's health, her grades, the bullying, the fake friend. Rachel listens without interrupting. Tenses sighs, slowly and clearly. You've been used and hurt, Emily, but you are not just a victim. You're also a witness. We can get you a free attorney. We can ask your school for accommodations. We can enroll your family in housing and medical assistance programs. You are not alone anymore. Over the next months, nothing becomes perfect, but everything starts to shift direction. In court, Emily tells the truth about the scam company. The judge recognizes her as an exploited minor and sends her to an educational and restorative program instead of prison, where she tells other teens how easy money almost destroyed her life. Her school gives her extra time, counseling, and academic support. Through Rachel's organization, she finds a part-time job helping younger kids with homework at a community center. For the first time, her story doesn't just shame her, it protects someone else. One cold night, she returns to the same old apartment. The heater still groans. The windows still leak cold air, but there is a new fire in her eyes. She sits beside her mother, takes her hand, and says quietly, "Mom, I'm done living on other people's mercy. Teachers, managers, scammers, this whole city. I'm going to tell my story so loudly that any girl like me, poor, exhausted, blamed for things she never controlled, will know. She is not crazy, and she's not alone." Her mother's eyes fill with tears. In a tired but proud voice, she whispers, "You survived what should have broken you, Emily. Maybe you are the light other daughters need to see when everything around them is dark." Outside, New York's sirens scream and lights flash. In the middle of that chaos, one American girl, Emily Carter, finally understands the real hook of her life. The world tried to write her in as a criminal, a dropout, a forgotten statistic, but she chooses a different ending, to become the storyteller who turns her pain into a warning, her scars into a map, and her broken past into a guide for every girl walking the same dangerous road.